Yesterday we began a study entitled Remove Not the Ancient Landmark, and we acknowledge the fact that there are many in the religious world around us today who are doing just that. They are removing many of those things that God has set for His people to do. Today, as we continue our study of this timely subject, we see that spiritual landmarks of God have been removed relative to the New Testament church. The scriptures tell us that Christ built only one church, Matthew 16 verses 18 and 19. And the church exists in only two senses. First, in the totality of all those who have obeyed the gospel of Jesus Christ, meaning those who are saved, those who are Christians, but also as a local, collective, functioning unit known as the local church. When local churches seek to assume a work larger than the local church, that is inclusive of works of other local churches, the byproduct of such an endeavor results in a larger organization than the local church. And brethren then seek to activate this universal extension of the church. Well, such activity is unauthorized in the New Testament. Each local church is to operate independently. It is to be autonomous. It is to be self-governing. We are not to have any type of denomination or any type of presbytery or any type of organization that goes above and beyond this local church. Spiritual landmarks of God have also been removed relative to the plan of salvation. Those who have attained the age of accountability and are outside of Christ, they must come to the realization that they are in a lost condition, Romans 3 and verse 23. And to be saved from one's past sins, one must believe the gospel of Christ, must repent of sins, must confess that Jesus Christ is the Son of God, and must be baptized for the remission of sins in order to become a child of God. Now, regarding the simplicity of this plan, many in the religious world reject parts of this truth. The affirmation of false doctrine of salvation by faith alone contradicts the very nature of biblical faith. A biblical faith necessitates action of obedience. When individuals or groups of individuals take it upon themselves to develop their own plan of salvation, they are removing the spiritual landmarks of God. Spiritual landmarks of God have also been removed relative to worship. Whenever we think of the worship, the work, the organization of the church, and the nature of biblical fellowship, within the scriptures God has specified divine requirements that are essential to us. We are to worship in spirit and in truth. We're authorized to engage within the preaching of the apostles' doctrine, the Lord's Supper every first day of the week, contributing financially as God has prospered us, prayer, and the singing of psalms, hymns, and spiritual songs. To add to this or take away from it or alter this plan in any way is to remove the ancient landmark of God. The same is true regarding the work of the local church and its organization. God has placed limitations on what we are allowed to do, both individually and collectively. And to go beyond that is sinful. The work of the church is limited to evangelism, edification, and benevolence. And these things must be accomplished by those who are a part of the local church, must be overseen by elders in the local church. Anything that goes above and beyond this is contrary to the will of God and is removing an ancient landmark. Biblical fellowship is also a crucial spiritual landmark of God, and such is limited by the scriptures to those who walk in the light of God's truth. Whenever individuals or congregations walk in the darkness of sin, they do not have the fellowship of God. And whenever we see those who teach things that are contrary to God's will, who allow things within their ranks that do not go along with the moral teachings of God, whenever they add to or take away from the things that are contained therein, they are not able to be in the fellowship of God's people. And whenever we fellowship those who are out of fellowship with God, we are removing an ancient landmark. Friends, therefore, let us have the utmost concern And let us take heed not to remove God's ancient landmarks of the faith, for only by keeping them will we be pleasing to God. Thank you for joining us for our program today, and may God bless you with a wonderful day.